This is Frater Wimsaur with a very fun tarot spread. This is the tarot spread for people that like to do jigsaw puzzles, because that's all it really is. Each card has its definite place, corresponding to the zodiac, or planet, or element that it relates to. Starting at the very center with the sun and the figure of the zodiac, the figure of the hexagram representing the 7 planets. Then, coming out of that hexagram are the 4 elements: fire, water, air, and earth, represented by the aces. This is the Aleister Crowley Thoth deck, by the way. Around the periphery of the hexagram and the elements are what the hexagram and the elements produce, i.e. the zodiac. Starting with Aries, going all the way around. I'm not going to explain them to you because this particular layout explains itself. All you have to do is do it. Have fun with it. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun. Stepping back, we see just outside of the perimeter of the zodiac, the 4 princesses. These are human. They're also what we can think of as guardians. They are the manifestation of the aces within the zodiac, but now they are without in the world of the elements. Thus, their head is facing up towards the sun in the zodiac. Their feet, or the bottom of the cards, are facing the elements. And then the other court cards, also placed in elemental correspondence positions. And if for you folks that do divination with tarot, i.e. fortune telling, this would be the significator according to the month in the zodiac and whatnot. And they also have a story to tell, which I highly advise you to lay this layout out so you can see the story for yourself, because I'm not gonna tell you. Okay, now we come at the outside of the ring, which the ring are composed, by the way, of the 36 minor arcana cards. These suit cards from 2 to 10. These are elementals. That is why the court cards have their feet, or the bottom of their cards, towards them. Because unless you are on a different plane than the rest of us, we walk on the ground. We walk on the elements. This just happens to be an inside-out version of Earth. So if we were living inside the Earth, and I'm not going to get into hollow Earths, but let's just say we lived in like a cartoon world where we just kind of walked on the shell of the Earth from the inside, like this, where the sky is actually the center, and the ground is the periphery, or the circumference of the circle. A note on how to put these out. Listen carefully. It's not that complicated. You're going to have to actually do a little bit of research yourself, particularly with understanding cardinal, mutable, and fixed parts of the zodiac and of the nature of those 3. Queens are cardinal. The princes are fixed. And the kings, or knights, depending on your deck, those would be the mutable. So once again, queen cardinal, prince fixed, and king mutable. And once you kind of see it laid out, you'll kind of understand why if you kind of look at who these characters might be, which you're going to figure out for yourself. Otherwise, there's really no fun to tarot. And otherwise, it just won't teach you anything. You got to do it yourself, people. Now, I did say, okay, in terms of how to lay the cards out, 2, 3, and 4 of each of the 4 suits, 2, 3, and 4 represent the cardinal. 5, 6, and 7 of each of the suits represent fixed. And 8, 9, and 10, they represent the mutable. Again, I would do some research on this. You'll see the Book of Thoth talks about this, the actual book version of the Book of Thoth, not these tarot cards, by Aleister Crowley. Milo Duquette talks about it in his book about the tarot, about his own tarot, which I want to say is a tarot of ceremonial magic, but with all respects, I hope I did not say that was the wrong title. But that will give you some ideas too. There's your research element for you boys and girls that like to do your research. Okay. On the outside, there are the additional 3 cards that are the only cards left after doing all of this. Those 3 cards, if you know your Kabbalah, boys and girls, represent the 3 mother letters. These are also synonymous with the 3 principles of alchemy. What I like to do here, and unless I read this in a book and just forgot about it and just thought it in my own, either way, I mean, this is something I'm sure many people have figured out. What I like to do with those particular cards is say that the Eon card, or that would also be, I believe, Last Judgment and like Rider-Waite, would be equivalent to your 3 mother fire, if you know your Kabbalah, sulfur for alchemy. And then the Fool, that would have to be Mercury, or that's your mutable element. And lastly, the Hanged Man is water, and also fixed. So kind of figure out where those belong. But what I do is, wherever we are now in the zodiac, and now I'm kind of walking around to where we are now. Now, this is where we are now. We're in Aquarius. Okay? Represented by the star card. Also, the Hebrew letter Tzadi is correctly attributed to the sign of the zodiac for Aquarius. I'm not going to get into if it's attributed to that card or not, because that would cause some arguments. But this is where we are now. We are in Aquarius. We're probably sort of between these 2 cards here, the 5 of Swords and the 6 of Swords, in terms of the actual date. So, because that's where we are on the date, I have affixed my my other trump here, the Hanged Man, which, by the way, you notice his feet are touching the elements, but on the other side, because he represents one of the 3 forces of God. You Catholics out there, think of this as one of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, but only this is, I'm based in ceremonial magic, so I would think there's like 1 male, 1 female, and 1, spirit, whatever, both male, female, and neither, I guess. But because this is basically, I guess, part of the eye of God, if you will, he's on the outside the circle, looking at it. He's creating the whole thing, or he's part of the Trinity that creates the whole thing. Thus, he is permitted to walk on the elements because he's above them. So because we are in Aquarius, that tells me, okay, we are in an elemental air. We're in, an air sign of the zodiac. And thus, I put these 3 cards on all 3 of the air elements, each corresponding to whether it is cardinal, mutable, or fixed. which you guys can figure out for yourselves. Everyone that knows something about astrology, you'll get it. If you don't, look it up and, you know, kind of let that add to your story that you can tell for yourself by reading these cards, where we have in the center the gods, or God, and it's in God's various manifestations. And then we have the outer world here. So, God's in the inner circle, man on the outer circle. I highly advise you guys to try this out. This spread is, well, it's kind of a lot of fun if you're like a tarot nerd, I guess, but it's very rewarding. It will teach you things. You will notice things and be like, whoa, this is really cool, or wow, I never really thought of it this way. That makes sense. Whatever it is, even if you decide you don't like it, try it out. It is such a rewarding experience. And, you know, I'm going to give a close-up of the sun just for the hell of it as I sign out. This is Wimsaur of Wimsaur.com, and I hope you have enjoyed this video.